Kia ora, good morning. I wanted to do a video today specifically for parents and people who are dealing with children who see things and have imaginary friends and talk to people sitting in the corner of the room. And I've been seeing it a lot on YouTube where parents are recording their kids having conversations with nobody in the room, but the kid can see them, and blah blah blah. Some of it's genuine, some of it isn't. I don't like these parents that use their kids to give the impression that spirits are what they are portraying in those videos that aren't true, because it's sending the wrong message. It's feeding the wrong information to the wrong minds who desperately need their minds to be led in the right direction. Because everybody knows that the freaks, geeks, nerds, dorks and weirdos of society are the ones who are getting the medication forced down their throats for being different, for thinking different, for wanting to go on a journey of self-discovery starting in the underworld. Everybody goes through it. All creative, empathic minds go through their dark stage. For me, it was immersing myself in murders and ghosts and paranormal things, and from a young age, witchcraft and the occult and that. I was always the weirdo. But people couldn't figure me out. They kept trying to categorise me, and you can't with me, because I'm whatever you need me to be at the time you need me to be it. Regardless of your religion, regardless of your beliefs, regardless of your socio-economic situation, your position in life, I don't care who you are. You're all the same to me. If you're coming to me, if I've been sent to you, it's because I've been sent to help you. So I'm whatever you need me to be. And whatever I am when I turn up in your life is all based on you. So which version of me you get is all up to you. And how you've been acting in the past, how you're treating me, how you're acting in the present, what I know is going to happen in the future, I set myself accordingly. Like God does, like atoms do. They set themselves accordingly. The frequency in the atmosphere sets itself accordingly. Because like attracts like, energy is magnetic. And I'm saying all this because I've been thinking about this investigation that I did in Wisconsin, where I met someone whose child was refusing to sleep in her bedroom, was saying all these things, and they didn't know what to do. They were at their wits' end. And it was stressing everybody out. So I offered to go to the house. And I remember, God, I was such a novice back then. This is why I totally understand why my radio show was taken away. Because I knew nothing back then. I was getting ready to talk on radio. I was talking on radio about things that I barely had answers to. And now I look back on what I was back then, and I'm embarrassed that I thought I knew enough to be able to turn it into a radio station, a radio show, or TV show. But I can now. But I got up there, I got into the house, and I immediately knew which bedroom it was. I could feel it. I could feel that boy's panic. I could feel it. And I walked into the room and I said, I had one of my former students with me, Rhea Brown, one of the ones who turned, the one who turned. She came all the way from Ohio, and I taught her, almost taught her how to open portals, but I was getting it wrong. I'd gotten it wrong because I didn't know what the hell I mean, I thought I knew what I was doing. I mostly knew what I was doing. I did everything right. It was my understanding of it, of the science of it, I got wrong. But basically, I got into the room and I could see this little boy hiding in the closet. And I'm pretty sure that boy is still alive. Or at the time I was there, you know, like he's not like a murder victim or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember what I said when I was in that room. But I'm pretty sure I got what I saw wrong because I was around magnetically lower vibrational frequency people in the room, because the student that had come from Ohio ended up being a part of being the reason why all of this happened to me in the first place. So she never graduated. I needed to get her out of my life because she was very low vibrational, toxic, very racist, very anti-Christian, very anti anyone who had a faith in God. And I'm a reverend now, and I find that offensive, so I've got to fix it all, right? It's my fault. I'm the one that brought them all into it, so I've got to fix it, which is why I'm not going to stop until I get justice for what was done to me and my boys. But I'm grateful she did it, because now I know who I can and can't trust. I powered up and got superpowers because of her. So I need to be grateful, right? Because I created all of this out of what was done to me. And now I can do these shows and help parents not send their kids to therapy and not go running to the school and not force drugs down their throat and not try and act like they're not there, or that you don't know how to handle it. They don't need an exorcism. They don't need to see the minister or the priest. They're perfectly natural, normal, healthy, super brained, super mind, super creative geniuses who are around toxic parents and toxic teachers and toxic society, and they reflect what they absorb. And we are supposed to be, at the time when we've been sent out to be hunter-gatherers and all of that, when we're learning what it is that we're supposed to be and the role that we are to play that in society, we're being fed the stuff that makes us question reality and life and the meaning of it. And when it's around domestic violence, when it's around addictions, when it's around neglect and abuse and abandonment, that comes out as paranormal activity, because children's minds are so powerful. And I'm pretty sure that little girl and I were picking up on that little boy's panic and fear when he was hiding in his closet because his parents were fighting, because his dad was hitting his mum again. because I know, because my mum used to hit me and I used to hide in the closet. And I know from stories from my dad, he used to hide in the closet as well. He used to get locked in the closet or under the bed. It's a kid's safe space. You know, some boogie monsters can't find you when you're hiding under the bed. Hiding under the bed can save you from getting a whooping or getting yelled at, or, you know. And I think the little girl was seeing him and they thought he was a ghost, but he wasn't. He was a time projection. He was projecting. His fear was being projected. And that's what me and the little girl saw. But I was able to shut it down. I was able to cross him over. I was able to show him the light. And I'm pretty sure what I was showing him was the fact that he was going to grow up, you know, to be like a man, like he wasn't going to get killed. He wasn't, you know, that he had a future waiting for him. Kids' imaginary friends aren't imaginary. They're not dead. You know the difference. The ones that need help ask for it. The ones that you give the help to will ask for it and be grateful for it. They will not fight you. If you start trying to cross something over and all of a sudden this voice or this whatever you think is there has been asking for help, and then all of a sudden it starts turning dark and nasty, then that's a trickster. That's not, and you know, that's not someone that's in the light. That's not someone that's in the dark. That's something that's been created from the darkest recesses of someone's mind who is playing tricks on you. And they might not even know they're doing it. But the thing is, it's always like the nerds, dorks, geeks, freaks and weirdos that get the blame for it. And there's a lot of sweet, angelic looking kids that can be going to church every Sunday and be creating stuff that they don't know they're creating, like the Bell Witch. The Bell Witch was an absolute manifestation of children that were brought up in a very strict religious household, village, town. So, you know, don't think that it comes from the fact that, you know, your kid dyes their hair black or purple or wears cobweb clothes or whatever, you know, like, get over it. Seeing eyes under the bed, like red glowing eyes, it's not a monster, it's not a demon. It's more than likely a very terrified child who's hiding under the bed because the parents are fighting again, or because dad's taken his belt off and he knows they know they're going to get another beating or something. That's the immediate thing you have to pick up on first. The fear that you feel when you go into the room, the fear your child feels, it's that child's fear. And maybe they were murdered, and maybe they died in a horrible way, but they've come to your child for help. In that moment that they're experiencing that fear, they're calling out for help, and your child's picking up on it because your child is pure and innocent, because they're angels. Until they finish puberty in the eyes of God, until a child has committed sins, they're angels. And when children are hiding under the bed, hiding under the covers, hiding under the thing that's going bump in the closet, and that they call out for help. and your children see it. But your kids don't understand, and it's never explained to them in the right way because everybody thinks that they're ghosts and that they're dead. But the thing is, manifestations are exceptionally rare, and like attracts like. So if the frequency of a child who's hiding in the closet in fear because the parents are fighting again, because he's fighting again, and in the present day, the child seeing the kid in the closet is also around parents who are fighting, it's the same frequency. And it locks atoms into place in a way where that frequency sparks and flickers and smashes together with such force and density because of, rage and anger and fear being the highest of the low vibration, if you know what I mean. That fever pitch, that fear pitch is that punches a hole in the atmosphere that people who are susceptible to picking up on, the pain and the suffering of others, i.e. the empaths, the creative empaths, it hits them in the chest. They immediately feel it in their chest. It sucker punches them. And they're connected in that moment, and then they see each other. And one might think the other one's a ghost, one might think the other one's an angel, especially if, it's a younger child wearing more modern clothes. Because I'm pretty sure that boy that I saw was from about the 60s or 70s. Kind of maybe late 60s, early 70s. But the little girl he was seeing had this like pink girly frou-frou room that as soon as he saw her, he probably thought she was like some sort of fairy or angel or something. But there's so many children out there who are seeing men hanging in the corner, or someone sitting with blood on their throat or blood down their arms. That used to happen with my boys a lot. But they know how to deal with it. They know what it is. They know that these kids are drawn to them because they're pure, they're higher vibrational. Because kids who don't know that kind of suffering and torment and that, they live in a completely different frequency. And my boys are just lucky that even when they were around the, domestic violence and the fighting and the arguing and, the father's bad temper and all that sort of thing, I knew how to handle the paranormal stuff so that it taught my boys what to do. Because they understand where it's coming from, and they understand who we are about being gatekeepers and how we are magnets for, lost souls, living or dead. Living, dead and dying. Because the soul dies when you lose hope, when you lose faith in something. It kills the soul. So that's why there's so many kids out there who are depressed and shooting up schools and on medication and all that, because they're not planted in the right soil. And they are magnets for paranormal activity, either seeing it, experiencing it, or creating it. Because not everyone who is around paranormal activity is the one creating it. It can be that they're picking up on someone else who's created it. even if that was in the past, like 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 10 years before they were born, 2 years before they moved into the house. And that's what you need to understand as well. And so I'm here to teach you all so that you can understand your kids better. And when I have my talk show as well, you'll be able to message in with your questions and I'll be able to answer them. Even when it's like if you've caught your kids doing what you think is like, Satanism. I mean, if they're idiots, we can just point the finger and laugh, because I can educate you and say, well, did you know that actually Satan is the protector of the pure and innocent, that he's God's breath, and that you don't even know what you're talking about? Like, I can teach you to understand it better and prepare yourself. My boy's sleep paralysis demon is his best friend, because my son knows that when sleep paralysis demon turns up, it's actually saving my son's life. And I have always said to my boys, and I've said to everyone who has, suffers from sleep paralysis, and they have that scary thing sitting on their chest or breathing over them, or, making them think they're going to rip their faces off, they need to thank them, because they're there to save their lives, because they're on the brink of their hearts stopping, and so they scare you back to life. They're like, those medical thingies that they rub together and they put them on the chest and clear, kaboosh, those things. They're that, basically. They jump scare you back to life, because your conscious mind was starting to dock into your subconscious mind, and there was some kind of docking issue. And when the two minds aren't balanced in the physical body, the heart doesn't start again. And so you die in your sleep. So they saved your life. So my son knows that. So he knows that sleep paralysis demon is his best friend, because he saves his life. He's his jumper cables. He jumpstarts his heart. Or just sleep on your side. But he's a big back sleeper, but it does help if you sleep on your side or your tummy. But you're always going to know when they're genuinely needing your help, when it's a genuine trapped spirit, when it's a genuine dead person who is stuck in time. Like, the man sitting in the corner with the bruises around his neck, talking to your kid. He's a trapped spirit and he needs help, because obviously when he died, his fear of, it's usually because they fear what's going to happen to them on the other side. They fear the consequences of suicide. Because suicide is, it is a big no-no. Like, it is a sin. We are not supposed to be committing suicide, because it's, when you commit suicide, that means that all hope and faith has been lost in you. And the one thing that God wants is for us to have hope and faith, because they keep us balanced when we navigate our way through, life's very tricky and supernaturally charged lives. And with so many imbalances out there, with so few people understanding what it is that we're actually dealing with, the paranormal industry is making a lot of money sending the wrong message to people. And it's affecting children, and when it affects children, that's when I get sent in. Like that chip coffee cup and that show that he did. I thought it was called Psychic Kids, but I've tried to look it up and I can't find it with him, but it was one of those ones anyway. But oh my gosh, he drove me up the wall and I had to do something. So I started my blog and then that's when I met my students, Rhea. And now I'm here, and now I'm an occult scientist and a biorhythmic engineer. And the good thing is, because I'm a biorhythmic engineer, I'll have my sprays and clays and candles and incense and oils that I'm going to put out on the market so that when you are dealing with this stuff, you won't even need to get anyone involved. Just use my sprays, use my candles, use whatever it is you need, and just cleanse the house yourself. Cleanse your soul yourself. I never got any negative feedback from my test trials of my products. In fact, just a couple of weeks ago, my nephew's wife contacted me to thank me for the spray, I think she said, my Rehua spray. She said because of her job and that, and she uses it and it like calms her down and it keeps her balanced and keeps her focused, and she's really loving her job and how everything's so I'm still getting really positive feedback from it, so I know it works. And then you can just do it yourself. And then when you go to places, like when you know the truth about what you're dealing with, that they're not mostly, a very small percentage of them will be dead people. Where it will definitely be dead people needing help. But when you know about the time bends and the time slips and, the way that panic and fear is drawn to innocence and light, you can go in using my products and just deal with it all yourself. So, learning is wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge. Knowledge is power. School is in session, I guess. I'm your little school teacher. I used to be a school teacher, a school assistant. I used to teach kids with learning disabilities. That's how I know about it. Was me teaching these kids that were diagnosed with autism and ADHD and that, and how I was able to get them to read and write with, the difference between their writing and reading before I started it, how I taught them was very different to how I was trained to teach them, because they put me on like a training course thing, but I kind of tweaked it a little, and the results were phenomenal. The kids in the classrooms were coming up and thanking me for making such a huge difference in the kids' behaviour, because I understood their language. I understood how to teach them, because I knew that they were smarter than the school was giving them credit for. There were a couple in there that, definitely I would have considered, having special needs. But for the rest, no, they were super, super smart. Super smart. And I was able to bring that out of them, and now here I am, because I understand that ADHD is just basically very smart kids who are understimulated, and autism is actually genius. You know, I present it differently. But they all go through a paranormal stage. They all, you know, as the chemicals in their brain starts changing, when they start hitting puberty and that, they start questioning life and mortality, and because of what they see, because of what they're around. And we need to be arming them with the correct information now, because we've had too many decades of these kids driving themselves off a cliff, emotionally, financially, psychologically, physically, socially, financially, spiritually, physically. And we can't have that, because they're the Mark Twains of the world, and the Mozarts and the Kurt Cobains, and, you know, the George Michaels. And the Charles Dickens and the Shakespeares, and but nobody's ever going to know their name, because they gave up. They lost hope and gave up having faith, because they spend so much of their life trying to find answers. But why am I like this? Because when people are pointing and saying you're different, you're not like us, you're weird, you're a freak, you're a geek, but why am I different? Why aren't I like everyone else? And then I come along and say, because you're not like everybody else, because you're special. You were chosen to stand out. Like George Michael, he stood out in the 80s. Mozart stood out because he was little. He became he was a protege at like 5. Because the special ones stand out. Like, people want the diamonds because they stand out from the coal. You're a diamond. Be a diamond. I'm going to teach you how to sparkle. Because I'm a dragon and we lay gems. We don't lay eggs, we lay gems. And at my foundation, and through everything that I'm building, through the entertainment factory, it's all to teach your children how normal they actually are, being weird and a bit of a freak and a bit of a dork and a bit of a nude. Diamonds and rubies and emeralds and sapphires stand out amongst the coal, but in a treasure chest, they fit right in. So my foundations and that are the treasure chests, and they'll come and they'll fit right in. And then they'll understand the paranormal better, then they won't be creating it. And if it's not them creating it, they'll know how to fix it and heal it. And then everyone's all on the same page, everyone's all on the same frequency. And I can show them how to turn that darkness and that questioning and that anger of God or whoever. I can show them how to turn it into a positive money-making game changer for them. Something that ends up lifting them up out of the darkness, because as they're questioning, I will be giving them the answers. And then they'll understand who they are, then they'll understand what they are, and then they'll know exactly how to sparkle and shine. Because I'll be creating the universe where they get to be the stars. So it's got nothing to do with me. I don't want to be a star. I'm going to lend my voice to a couple of things, but I'm happy to write it all and come up with the ideas and just feed it, feed and supply everyone everything they need to put the meat on the bone, so to speak. I'm going to feed them the skeleton stuff and then let them put the meat and flesh on what it is that we create from it. So, yeah. So for your parents out there, just now you know, and just let me get my broadband and my little internet radio thing up and running, and then I can start doing, like, turning these into podcasts once my son I can get my son to figure out how, and then I'll get it all out there, start getting it all out there, because I'm ready and it's time. Because we've got to start settling this world down a little, because everything's getting a bit like fever pitch. It's the fear is it's palpable. So now I've got to build my army and get my kids in and help me tone it all down. That's why I need to get these foundations built in as many countries as I possibly can. Plus, it's also helping the education system and the mental health system, because I'm taking a lot of these troubled kids off their hands and they'll be coming back completely different as human beings. So, for the kids that are willing to learn, that is. Because it doesn't matter how good you are, if they don't want to learn, you can't teach them. If a kid decides that it doesn't want to learn from you, then there's absolutely nothing we can do. So, but we're certainly not going to force them to stay. So, just let me get this next step of getting my broadband and getting my laptop up and running. I'll save up and get myself a good mic, and then I'll start getting these podcasts out and put them on like Spotify and all that as well. And then I'll figure out how to do live chat where you can type your questions underneath with my boys monitoring the room. And we'll get going that way, because I'm ready. And then if I got a job in radio, or, like I was able to turn my radio station into like an actual radio station like I want to do. I want to have my radio station at the foundation. I want a radio station at every foundation in every country. Get people listening to radio again. So, yeah, so just get ready, because I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. And then together we can start toning this energy down a little. Spread faith, not fear. Spread love, not longing. Spread need, not want. Right, okay, so I'm going to go now. I should probably have some breakfast. But, yeah, I will make these little thingies, these little videos and that, when I am intuitively drawn to do so. But my boys are helping me set my broadband and all that up. I've got I need to find a broadband company that'll let me do a month by month basis, because I don't want to sign up to an 18 or 24 month contract if we end up leaving next month, because then I've got to pay them all that money for nothing. But there's a couple that do a month by month, and I've got to contact them and see about, you know, ID, what ID they need. And then hope and pray I get broadband that way. And then I can get my laptop set up, and then I'll get a mic, and then I can start making these radio shows, podcasts, turn them into podcasts and put them on Spotify and other places, and then start getting it all out there. And I'm wondering if it's possible to turn, you know, where I was going around the National Trust, I was thinking it would be really cool to see if it's possible to turn some of my YouTube videos into like radio stories. Because, like, see where I go around the National Trust and I just say what I'm seeing and all of that, they're made in a way where you could just lay back and listen to them without needing to look at the screen. And I think that they could be turned into like little true story thriller. They might only be like, by the time you edited them down, like, you know, 20 minutes long, 15, 20 minutes long, but they might be interesting little like radio thingies to listen to, because they are true, that, you know, it is real supernatural stuff. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so I'm ready, I'm inspired now. I want to get back into radio for sure, and I'll just do my own radio, because I love to talk about what I do. I could talk about what I know and what I can do, you know, with what I know, the paranormal, the supernatural, all of it, ascension therapy, biorhythmics. Like, if I can just, I could talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, because I love what I do. I love what I know so much, because I know that when the right people are inspired by what I'm teaching, it changes their entire lives. And I got to be a part of that. So it's saving souls, one person at a time. And now I'm going to put it out there. See where it grows. I'll speak to you later. Hold your head up high and know you are loved. Ka kite anō.